Ted here, BigGoofyRunner. Welcome to another one of my weekly videos where I'm talking about my weight loss, by getting back in shape, and all that kind of fun stuff, what's been happening for me in the past week, and that kind of thing. So we'll get into it pretty quick here. It's been a pretty big week. First off, I did finally break the 230 barrier. Dog wandered around and hear the tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. But anyway, yeah, I did finally break the 230 barrier, which is awesome. I mean, it's just an arbitrary number, but it has been important for me to get under that number and continue working on, especially since I've been plateaued for several weeks now and I've been kind of bumping against it and not making it past it. Now I've made it past it. Low this week was 228.5. I think my low last week was 230.5, so 2 pounds down, and we'll continue on from here. Yeah, doing well. I basically have just made sure I am focusing specifically on what I am eating and what I am drinking, and just really paying attention to all that kind of stuff. So the one of the things I've been doing the last 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, I've been drinking, what are they? They're called Aha or Bubbly, Coke and Pepsi's carbonated water with the hint of a flavor of fruit. Low calorie, no sweetener, 0 calorie, no sweetener, that kind of stuff. And I think probably I've been drinking too much of it or something like that because anecdotally or coincidentally, I guess, it is, I started drinking some of that stuff during the day and cutting back on some of the cold brew coffee. Been drinking kind of that instead around the same time frame as the plateau has been. So I did basically this week not have any of it. I don't think it's the cause. I think it's either a symptom or mentally I drink some of that and then maybe I snack some more and things like that because I may be mentally equating with having Coke, and then I have some other sweets and snacks and things like that. So, and based on what I've written down and things like that, I'm definitely probably have had more cookies, more chips, that kind of thing in the last week, or the previous weeks than what I did in the last week. So that seems to have made a big difference. I got some more popcorn in the house, so I'm having definitely lower calorie popcorn. Some of it's pre-popped and it's yeah, it's a little bit more higher calorie than I would like, but at least it's not caramel or things like that were really high calorie. So it's that seems to have helped. I've got movement again, 2 pounds down. The running's been doing pretty good. I mentioned last week that I did start a Hal Higdon Intermediary 1 full marathon training program. Not actually training for a marathon. I've got a half marathon that I'm thinking about doing in October, and that one would line up with this 18-week training program. So train for a full, run a half, maybe get a good time, that kind of thing. It's been a little tough. Last week I did 4 of the 5 runs I was supposed to, skip the long runs, or the longest run, and yeah, just mentally hearing the word long run or something like that, even though it wasn't that long a run that I skipped, it was 8 miles, which is not out of my wheelhouse when I do 5s and 7s, just occasionally here and there. So it's not something I wasn't capable of. I hear long run and my brain shuts down right now. So that's unfortunate. But the this past week though, I did do all 5 runs. A couple 3 miles, a couple 5 miles, a 9 mile, one of the 5s and the 9 were all outside. The 9 was this morning, and I'm just so out of practice on the long runs outside that I only brought a small water bottle. I lost over 4 pounds of water weight in 9 miles. It was hot, and it's just a reminder, I go through a lot of liquid. When I do a marathon, I run with a 2-liter backpack on and hit every water stop. I don't do Gatorade or Powerade or any of those kind of things because I'll end up in the porta potties, but water in every water stop plus the 2 liters on my back, and I still lose significant weight. I sweat out a lot when I do the runs, so, and this morning was no exception, and so I got that reminder this morning, and yeah, finishing off the 9 miles was tough. Fully capable of doing it, but yeah, when you start getting dehydrated, got some problems. But yeah, on the 9 miler today, it was interesting. I got my stuff together. Like, yeah, I kind of mentioned, like, I forgot how to get myself ready. I only took a small bottle of water. I didn't take a hat. So I felt the heat and I felt the dehydration and things like that. But the run almost went off the rails right at the beginning because I put on my running shoes, the same ones I'd used yesterday's run with no problem. And by the time I got to the end of the street, I had to stop because my ankle was hurting so bad, and I kind of figured I'll just readjust my sock in the shoe a little bit and I'll be perfectly fine. I had gone 0.1 of a mile and I was already kind of bleeding on my ankle. So I had to turn around, do the extra 1.1, making it back to the house, and by that point my ankle really was kind of hurting and it was just not great. So I'm not sure yet on what caused that, but I switched shoes, kept the same socks, and I went and did the 9 miles. So there's kind of that's the thing with doing these longer runs is you get used to what you need for gear, try and remember what it is, make it all second nature, so then when you get to a race or you go to do a full marathon, you get the right gear and you know what works for you. And right now it's been a long time since I've done anything really that long. I'm out of practice and I'm having to retrain myself, and I'm getting all these reminders as like, oh yeah, I know how bad I get if I don't drink properly when doing a long run. I only do not finish ever in a race was a 50K that I got 40K done, and yeah, I forgot to drink during the whole 40K. It was super hot, and yeah, that was an awful thing. I'll maybe leave a link in the description down below to the blog post I wrote about that, but it was pretty bad. I screwed up pretty heavily. But yeah, so end of that story. That's part of the reason why you do the longer runs. You're training your body, but you're also training yourself to use certain gear and understand how the gear works for you, so you have that experience in your body and your equipment when it comes time for those long runs. So yeah, so I've been spending the day making sure to rehydrate. I did that 9 miles before I had anything like a breakfast or anything too, so I've been kind of eating more today than I should be as well. We ended up having to go out and do some stuff too, and just like had Subway, and then we had a homemade burger for supper, and probably got way too many carbs coming into my system as well. So weight's going to be interesting tomorrow to see what it looks like, but you know, I've been 3 or 4 days this week where 3 days this week I've been under 230, one at 230. So I'm making the improvements. It's continuing on, so one bad day shouldn't completely derail me, and I'll get back to work tomorrow. I do start work tomorrow, and I guess that does lead in, I do have work tomorrow, but that does lead into the next thing. Big week coming up is that essentially the whole family is getting our second shots for the COVID vaccine this week. On Monday, both Heather and I will be getting a Moderna shot. Our first shots were AstraZeneca, and so we've got a Moderna coming on Monday that we'll have, and then Thursday and Friday, our daughter and son get their second shots of Pfizer. There was some playing around that needed to happen there because essentially, while the window was open up for kids to get their second vaccine, we had a shortage of Pfizer, which is the only one that was approved for kids under 18. But both Heather and I had an appointment sitting out there for Pfizer as our second shots, because that was kind of what they were recommending. If you had an AstraZeneca, then have a Pfizer. But they turned around and said, if you had AstraZeneca first, you could have Moderna instead if you wanted, and there's lots more of it, you can go sooner. So that's what we did, and we managed to switch our Pfizer appointments to the kids. So awesome. So the end of by Friday at noon, all 4 of us will have had our second shot. So it'll be interesting. This week, I've been talking with a few people that have had Moderna as their second shot, and they definitely say they've been you kind of kicked in the butt by it. So wait and see what happens, because we have our second shot tomorrow morning. I don't really have anything major work tomorrow besides trying to get some stuff cleaned up and things. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, I do have a lot of work that I have meetings and important things and stuff like that hopefully I don't get my butt kicked, because I also go on vacation as of Thursday for 10 days. So I'm not going anywhere. We're going to be at home, enjoying the pool, that kind of thing, but just making sure to take a week off here with the kids now that they're finishing their school year, and just make sure we have time and everyone gets to decompress a little bit after another tough school year for them. So it's that's the plan, and hopefully the Moderna doesn't kick us in the butt too bad, but we'll see how it all goes. So that seems like a cause for celebration that's coming up. So that's awesome, just to get that opened up for us as a opportunity to get the second shot, and then get the record that we are fully vaccinated, and hopefully be able to travel near Christmas time, that kind of thing. So we'll see how that all goes, because fingers crossed we want to go to Disney and just kind of have some away time. So March 19th was the first day I worked from home. March 19th, 2020 was the first day I worked from home fully since starting because of the pandemic and stuff like that. And so that's 15 and a half months now I've been working from home. Kids have been home for a healthy portion of that as well. And yeah, it was just everyone's getting a little itchy to get out and do something. Not quite cabin fever, because we're all fairly introverted and we enjoy the quiet time at home, but still, it's a good time to get out and do some stuff. At least hoping we can do that. So that's looking forward to. So that's good. Continuing on this week, July 1 will be essentially 6 months since I started the weight loss journey. Since January, if look at 228.5, that is 38.5 pounds down. Depending on how badly I blew things up today, we'll see where we get to by Thursday. I would love to be by 227 by Thursday, so that I've lost 40 pounds in those 6 months. Now, it took me 4 months to lose 30 pounds, so that extra 10 pounds taking 2 months is a little disappointing, but that's that plateau I've talked about several times, and it looks like I've moved past that, so we'll continue on. So that's kind of good that we're it's all moving forward. And yeah, I think at that point we get to July 1, we're kind of starting a new chapter at that point. Like, all my tracking stuff ends July 1 as of right now. So I have to extend that. I have to look, because my goals have always been kind of 2 pounds per week. I got to start looking at, as I'm training, marathon training, making sure I'm fueling properly for that marathon training so I get the most out of that. Maybe 2 pounds a week of weight loss doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe I can do 1 instead. So I need to figure that out, figure out what that next chapter is, and just kind of see where I'm going and things like that. And yeah, so definitely major decisions that I have to make here on what my path forward is. Because it's interesting, the weight loss is great, but I even saw when I was running today what my speeds were. It's nowhere near the speeds I used to get when I was at this weight, 6-7 years ago. Just because the way I was trained up for marathons and things like that, I was heavy carrying the weight, and I was a lot faster than I am now. So I've got to rebuild that speed as I lose the weight. And of course, I keep telling myself I got to lose the weight before I do it. But the weird thing is that if I look at my weight and think about my weight, being down below 230 now, mentally I'm still thinking I'm 250 something. My brain hasn't caught up with what my body has actually done. So I need to change that mental attitude. And I need to look at a few things as well, because when I look back at the various ultras I've done 3 ultras in the 50-mile range, just shy of 50, just over 50, 53 something was one of them. And I did a 50K. When I look at those, all except for one of them, I was heavier than I am now. So I used to be able to go longer than I can now, for sure. And weight wasn't really it was still a factor in how well I did, but it wasn't a factor on my mental thoughts on whether or not I could do those longer distances. And I've got to get that back. So I have to see what I can do to try and get that mental piece back. But I think following the marathon training program, even though I'm only shooting for a half marathon to run, I want to build up the mental capacity to do those longer runs, and then continue on from there. And we'll see if I get back into ultras or things like that. But it's right now, the journey is to get healthier, and I'm still not 100% sure I've made the decision on being healthier means I'm running marathons again. So we'll see how that all goes, but I suspect I'll be doing at least one more marathon again. But you know, we'll have to see how it all plays out, and I'll have to make those kind of decisions and it kind of change on the fly and stuff like that. So okay, yeah, thank you for watching. Ted here, BigGoofyRunner. Yeah, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Leave a comment. Let me know how your fitness journeys are going, because everybody's just a little bit different and running a different kind of race. So yeah, run your own race. I'll see you in the next video.